Hey, Mika, welcome back to
Hello.
RoboCon.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. It feels very good to be back. We had a really good first day, and really looking forward this day as well, and tomorrow as well. I mean, it's 3 day, or actually this year 4 day event with pre-tutorials and everything. So getting bigger and better each year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about day three as well. For folks that don't know, maybe just a little plug for day three so people know it's not really over today. They still have some awesomeness going on tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. So tomorrow we'll be having a community day. So we have one tutorial in the morning. Check your local schedule from robocon.io. And then after that, we're going to start with it's a non-conference day. So we're going to organize ourselves. We will share a link to Miroport so you can suggest topics to discuss, to code, to work on together in the board. So we'll share that in Cattertown and in our Slack today. So you can already jump in today, suggest things, or then tomorrow just come to Cattertown in the bridge and we'll make it happen there. So
Absolutely. Renee gave a demo yesterday, but maybe Renee will give another demo today, just so maybe near the end of the day we can remind people how to join tomorrow to take advantage of that awesome opportunity for sure.
definitely. And today actually we also have great sessions, and this one is live. So we're gonna have 4 demonstrations of ecosystem projects, and also we're gonna end up today with a live panel discussion. So of course, pre-recorded talks are great, but also it's very nice to have interactive sessions during the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I might hijack the last roundtable. So it's going to be a panel discussion, but it's also going to be an Ask Us Anything session, I think. So any question you have for Pekka, Renee, or David, they can handle anything around Robot Framework. We'll have a structured conversation as well, but I also want to let people know they want to stay all the way to the end because it's going to be your chance to interact with some of the top experts here and get your questions answered on anything you've been wondering about with the Robot Framework.
Indeed.
Awesome. So, anything else, Mika, we should know about? People keep asking about recordings. Do we have any information on that? How this works after the event? Is it a one and done?
Yeah. So when you have your ticket, you can always rewind back to robocon.io. And with that ticket, you can always see the live stream from day one and day two and tutorials. So you can just watch them anytime you want. We will release them public, all videos, short videos, like each 1 hour with the Q&A during the spring. But of course, for ticket holders, they are available immediately as those days.
Awesome. Very cool.
Maybe
Great.
shortly about the ecosystem project. Not
Yeah,
sure if everybody knows
absolutely.
about those. So uh, maybe I'm just going to shortly define what is the ecosystem here. So of course, everybody knows Robot Framework, but when you kind of use Robot Framework, it's not maybe self-evident that when we talk about ecosystem, what it is. So uh, when you download Robot Framework, well, that's the Robot Framework. When we're talking about Robot Framework core and everything outside the tools and libraries, that's typically what we refer as the ecosystem. And for this kind of uh, open source project, is really cool that we have many good tools and libraries that extend the usage of Robot Framework core itself. And that's also why the Robot Framework Foundation wants to fund some of these ecosystem projects. So like I mentioned yesterday, we have 3 main initiatives that we really want to try forward: the Robot Framework itself, the community, and the third is the ecosystem. So we are a non-profit association, so we don't have that much money. But whenever we do have some extra towards the end of the year, we tend to fund projects that either are lacking maintenance or need a little bit love, or there is just some new cool initiatives that would benefit from some seed funding. So how it works is that you can apply for funding when there is something available. So we will let people know in our channels, hey, there's a ecosystem project, CFP open, so call for ecosystem project is open. Apply now. Last year we had it like open mid-July till end of August, mid-September. Then we had a few rounds of these discussions with everybody who applied, and then we had a decision made by a committee that which few projects we fund this time. it's never easy, but I think we had a good selection. So overall, there was like 15 applications, and we decided to fund 7 out of 6. We actually did, and then they were done then towards the end of the year and finalized few of them still in January. So then all of those projects were given a little bit of funding, and that's one of the ways we, as Robot Framework Foundation, want to support the ecosystem.
No, that's what I love about Robot Framework. It's not just a open source project. You really do help the contributors and with initiatives like this. Uh, because one thing I'm not sure, you said you announce it through different channels. What would be the best channel for people to get involved with? So after the event, that they get these type of information.
Yeah, so we typically use at least our Slack and forum, but also social media. So I would pick at least one of those. All important information we try to provide through different channels, but kind of general in our Slack is quite good. And we actually just made a change before this conference that is announcements only channel. So then you should also quite easily pick up what's happening, even if you don't that regularly drop in.
Awesome. And what's the best way for a company, if a company's watching or a group of people and they want to get more involved with the Robot Framework Foundation? Is there an easy way to get in touch with you all, or are there any, do you have to apply? What are the steps?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Joe. So basically, it's quite straightforward. So there is an application link under robotframework.org/foundation. There's also additional information on what we do and how we operate there. But you can always contact me if you have additional questions. So you just file that link, then we'll get back to you in a few days. The board actually votes on every new member, so it will take roughly a week, and then we most likely have a positive result, and you will be joining the foundation.
Awesome. All right, Mika, I think that's all we have. But any parting words of wisdom before we kick off the rest of the sessions for today?
Yeah, just enjoy the day. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you again for setting this all up and making this online event possible. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us here, Joe.
Awesome.
You're great.
Cheers. Thank you. All right. Awesome stuff. I always love hearing from Mika. And if you're not doing anything with the Robot Framework Foundation, you want to learn more, definitely take advantage of that. Absolutely. 100%. All right. I see Renee and Tattoo ready to go. They're going to talk about the ecosystem project review, doing the unloved task in browser lib. All right, guys, we're about to go live. Let's do this. Hey, welcome back, Renee. Hey, Tattoo. Good to see you all.
Hey, Joe. Hi. Good morning.
Morning. Great to see you. Like I said, really excited about this. I'm kind of new to this kind of ecosystem project review type deal. So the floor is yours. I'd love to learn more about the browser lib.
The project that we are talking here now, sorry for the for the quick switch, is a Selenium library to browser migration helper. And so the idea is help people to migrate that need to migrate. First, maybe very, very quick introduction from myself. I'm working for Imbus as a consultancy company, but I'm long time Robot Framework members, like 8 years, and my first contribution to open source was the data driver, and I'm now maintainer of browser library, assertion engine, data driver, crypto library, Robot Framework debug, and some more. And I'm also the chairman of the foundation. The browser library has a huge growth, I think, over the last years. So it's getting bigger and bigger, and more users are coming to it, and the users are pretty happy with it. And there are technologies that kind of really saltens the soup of using Selenium libraries. For example, Shadow DOM is still a red flag for using Selenium. It's really hard to use Selenium. There's no convenient way to use it. So people are kind of forced to look for other technologies. And that would, for example, be a browser library that can really work well with Shadow DOM elements. So what did I propose or already started implementing before, but then proposed to finish, is this compatibility layer. So it basically looks like a Selenium library, but under the hood, it uses the browser library. And that means all keywords are compatible to Selenium library, keyword interfaces, and also the behavior that you would expect from Selenium library. You can use the Selenium library selectors like something colon something, and everything should work the same, but under the hood, as said, it's using browser. And why? Because we got requests from the community that they need to migrate because of technology change in the UI, or developer did some change which make it hard with Selenium, or they just figured out that the browser library is kind of faster or bring their more value. The initial situation was that I had done an initial implementation. I had basically just proof of concept that most of the keywords can be implemented using browser library. They were roughly doing what they should. They were not pretty accurate. So there are some keywords that have very weird, like exception paths there. So there's a lot of details then going in the last mile. So the first 80% were easy, but the last 20 were pretty hard. And we had 38 keywords still missing, and the doc were missing, and the migration concept were missing. So I promised to implement at least 155, which I estimated should be possible, definitely. Writing documentation and writing some description how to migrate from how the migration process could work and what the intermediate steps could be. So you can find it here under the QR code. Sorry, I can move myself away so that you can scan that QR code. So on github.com/snooze82, which is my GitHub account. And I will show that QR code later as well. So what did we do in the end? I implemented 164 of the 177 keywords. There are some minor limitations. They are described in the docs. You can also use dry run to figure out which keywords are not implemented. They are actually there, but they are located as deprecated, and dry run will still tell you they are not there. And I give you a tool, Selenium Stats, to give you an info about your usage of keywords in your library, how often it's used, which keywords are used, and how compatible your project is. To install, you not only have to install the migration library, but also Robot Framework browser itself and initialize that. It's not a dependency because you can use this nice tool here, Selenium Stats, without installing Robot Framework browser itself. And Selenium Stats is giving you a statistics of what keywords. So you feed it with an output XML, and it gives you a statistics of what keywords are used of Selenium library. And then you get a table. And the table means, the count means this keyword, like go to, has been called in your whole test execution one time. And the parents count means that keyword has been called in so many other keywords or test cases. So it's basically like, how often have you written that line in your code? And what we really would appreciate if you do something like this and then send it to me or upload it here. There is a JSON file coming out of it. Not just this statistic, but there is a JSON file. In this JSON file, there are no confidential data whatsoever. There's just like which keywords you have called. And you can upload it here. I will also share it with the Selenium library team so that they can get a good idea of which keywords are used often. So we got over the last 4 years. So this statistics thing is out there for some time. We got over the last 4 years 48 reports of the keyword usages. We see big projects like here 13,000 times click element, but only called in 169 places in the code. We also got smaller projects that have maybe another proportion. And here you see, for example, add locator strategy is a keyword that is currently missing in the implementation, and it will probably be missing also forever. So it's not implemented in the migration helper. So you also see directly which keywords are not supported. Or we have libraries like this here, which seems kind of wrapping the whole Selenium library in new keywords. So you see a very low amount of actual calls. over all these statistics, I made a statistic as well. So for these 48 statistics files we got, and we see which keywords are used but cannot be implemented. But we also see that a lot of keywords of Selenium library itself are, at least in these 48 projects, are not used. So here you see, for example, click image, cover element. In all these 48 projects, those were not used. And we had here like 645,000 keyword calls that were analyzed. In the very end, we are ending, so in these 48, with these 7 missing keywords that are not implemented in the browser library, but were used. And it's specifically, for example, alert stuff or the locator strategy is something that you just have to handle differently if you migrate. So what I would like to request, please try it out. So try out the migration library if you think or if you have the demand of switching. This is not meant as a hostile project. It's not meant as, and I move myself away again. It's not meant as a hostile project to somehow convince people to move from Selenium library. Selenium library is still a great library. It's maintained. It has done so much over the years. There are good reasons for using Selenium library and not using browser library. For example, if you're using Selenium Grid or other platforms to execute your stuff, and you're depending on the WebDriver technology. But if you have the need of switching, this library could help you. What all Selenium library users could do is provide us a statistics. So install it once, let this Selenium stats statistics running, and upload this JSON file. And I promise I will share that also to the Selenium team so that the Selenium team knows which keywords are used multiple times. I did share it also in the beginning with Tato, who was the owner of Selenium library back then. I will also send them soon to add so that he also knows. And you may try it out and give feedback. And that's all from my side. So we are open source, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Renee. Tattoo, quick sound check before I switch over to the next session. Darn it. Nope, still
No.
not. Sorry, man. All right.
So
Next up, thank
bye-bye.
you so much,
See
Renee
you
and
soon.
Tattoo. Appreciate it. All right, thank you for that. Awesome development. Next up, we have, we're going to hear a little bit about robot code, Road to version 1.0 with Daniel. All right, Daniel, I'll see you in the green room. Let's go live. Hey, Daniel, welcome to RoboCon.
Hello.
Good to see you. All right, guitars in the background. We're already off to a good start. So the floor is all yours.
Yo. So I share my screen.
Yeah, if you can share your screen, if you hover your mouse in the bottom middle, there should be an option to share screen.
Yeah, I found it, and then I take this screen, and then we see
the screen is showing.
This one.
Yep, perfect.
So, okay. Yeah, let's talk about a little bit about my ecosystems project, Robot Code Road to version 1.
Now this slide's a little too big now, Dan. I know you zoomed in earlier, but now this is off screen here.
It's too big?
Too big, yeah.
Why it is too big?
You know what? I'll just go to, I have a fancy view. I'll change it. I'll change my view for you. So just go back to what you're doing.
So. Why is too big? It's
there you
normal.
Go. You're good.
There you go. Okay. Now we have. Okay. So, okay. Some words about my project. What was the plan? What was the idea? So the main plan was to introduce some new features, especially for the command line, and to make a new configuration file that supports all settings for Robot Framework and VS Code and such things. Some code optimizations, enhanced performance, and addressing bugs and usability and such things. And one bigger thing, write some tutorials and write documentations. So from my side, I think how this has happened in such an open source project where I work alone, there's not much time, limited free time, really to do something in an open source project, bringing work and the normal work, the family, and this project together. My current stage, Imbus, my company where I work on, provides me 2 days to work on robot code, but it's mostly not enough to make new things. That's one of the things, and it's yeah, mostly enough for answering questions or work on some issues or tickets or something. So the main problem is, the main challenge is finding a really big continuous finding the time for continuous feature development. So more than 1 day or 1 hour. So one of the other problems is if you want to make an open source project in Germany, you have some regularity problems. You need you cannot receive private donations for an open source project because the tax office and related tax issues are there and such things. So, but for me, the money is not really important. I need time for this. So I talk with my company, and Imbus provides me a solution. Imbus handles the whole ecosystem, funding things and such things. I get the money on, however, but Imbus gives me the time to do this. So they calculate a little bit, whatever, as a consultant, I get so many in an hour at a customer. So they put doubled this time. And so I had at the end round about 3 weeks in a row to really focus on robot code development. So that's a real good thing. Maybe an idea for other companies how you can handle such open source development, donations, sponsorings, and such things. It's for me, it fits totally. So then I start working, but you know it, things always turn out differently than you think. And what's happened? Robot Framework 7 is coming with many, many new features and many, many internal changes to the model. And I needed to, write a lot of code to support Robot Framework 7. But at the end, Robot Code is fully compatible with Robot Framework 7. Supports all the new features, like the new var syntax, the deprecations for the checks, mixed argument supporting in a library keywords, and so on, type hints and such things. So the second thing, one file to rule them all, the new robot toml file. The idea of the robot toml file is there must be one file where I can configure my robot framework executions and also my IDE. So should be able to select profiles in the IDE and also on the command line. So there is no need for long command line calls. Maybe you know it from the normal robot framework call. On the command line, you need to add a result directory. You need to add variables, different variable files, environment variables, and so on. So many things. And with this robot toml file, there is no need for all these things. You can install and use the robot code runner in your Python environment to execute your robot framework tests like it you do in the VS Code IDE with robot code, and many more. On Tuesday, I had a tutorial, and you can see a demo and some explanation about this whole thing in this tutorial video. So next one, there are some other client tools, command line tools, such things like discover information about your project with one call, which test cases I have defined in my tests, which test cases defines with test cases defines with tags. What happens if I combine this text, and what test cases comes out, and such things. Execute your tests with a robot toml file configuration file. You can remote debug your project. Maybe put a debugger instead to run the project in a normal way. You can change the command line comment to debug, and then you can connect via VS Code to your CI pipeline and see what's happened in the pipeline. You can integrate robot code's language server and other editors like NeoVim, Sublime, Eclipse, and such, whatever you name it. Query configuration files, possible options. Again, see my tutorial. Some new things in VS Code. I speed up everything. First a little bit, and now I make it, I think 5 times faster. There will be a new release in the next days for robot code. It's really fast now. Completions in the debugger. A new feature, you have a keywords view here. You can see the libraries and keywords that you are imported in the current suite, and you can easily search with the normal VS Code features, Control F, and then type whatever you want and search your libraries and keywords. One bigger feature is robot code discovers tests like robot does it. So if you run a robot on the command line and say, okay, include this, exclude this, and such things, this is also possible with robot code. And again, see my tutorial for this. But at the end, because of Robot Framework 7 is coming, there is not much documentation. There is new documentation, but not so much as I planned. So, but there's the tutorial. There's a written version. I will update the written version with some questions from the tutorial. It's coming. And I created a discussion panel on GitHub for Robot Code, where I will collect questions and answers for Robot Code. Some plans for the future: more documentation, more speed, more client tools. The plan is to bring the analysis functionality from the IDE to the command line, so that you also say robot code analyze your project on a command line and get all these keyword not found, variable not found, and find unused references and such things. There's a plan for clean up the project. There is a plan for creating projects and files from templates. Maybe better icons coming next. And if you have any other ideas, tell it to me. So thanks. And thanks for the Robot Framework Foundation for making it possible for me to realize this whole things. And also thanks to the community for helping me to make robot code better, suggesting enhancements, reporting issues, asking questions, and so on. For me, this is a lot of fun, and I'm really proud to be a part of this community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Really appreciate it. If you can hang around in the green room, we might have, if we have time later on, after we might do like a Q&A really quickly. So if you could stay until like maybe 20 minutes, that'd be awesome. Is that okay?
Okay.
I appreciate it. So stay in the green room. We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. So next up we have Helio. And Helio, we're about to go live. I see you in the green room. Let's do it. Hey, Helio, welcome to RoboCon.
Hey, hello. Nice to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. Awesome stuff. I know you had a recording, but I wanted to make sure you set it up, and then we do the recording and probably go back to you. So however you want to do it, the floor is all yours.
Will you play the recording yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, the recording is a high-speed mode, so be prepared to see a lot of talk and quick flashing of mouse, and yeah, because it's 8 minutes, so let's go.
All right, really quick, can you just set it up? What are we talking about here, so that people know what they're about to watch?
Okay. Major feature is supporting all the languages that Robot Framework 6 supports, and so when we open the file, we will see the settings and all the elements in that language, and then we'll move to the internet localization of the user interface itself.
Awesome. All right, let's check it out.
So I'm starting by installing RIDE. The system is Fedora 38. Already creating a desktop icon that is hidden behind. Yeah, there it is. So now we have Python 3.10 and the latest released version 2.08.1. In this screen, we see the wrong fields errors because this RIDE does not support yet the translated languages. Only English is available. So this is the old 6.0.2 version of Robot Framework. And now we'll open, as you can see, we open a Portuguese file, but the system remains with the English one. Now I'm going to, I upgraded the Robot Framework to version 7. And now I'm starting right from the command line. Yeah. So Now it opens the latest file. You can see version 7. And we are going to open the Spanish example. But this is still the old version of RIDE. Now we are going to see the new version. I'm installing this is the development version, still in 3.10, Python 3.10. As you can see, is RIDE 2.1 development version 20. So this is a typical release notes that starts when RIDE opens for the first time. The German, now the languages are active. So the German language file is opened, and we can see the settings, the heading, and some words. The tooltips hopefully show the English version. We're going to start running, but there is a bug in this in this version that we cannot select folders with and files, so we must run all the files. And that's what I did. I run all the files and checking the output. The simplified Chinese must have that option of the language. This is, I don't know if it is a bug from Robot. And there are tests are green. Seems that only run not all time. Oh, maybe this is another. So I'm showing here the colorization of the test case in Portuguese. As you can see, I already jumped to Portuguese and to German. Gonna open a simple file with mixed languages. As you can see, the Portuguese is here, but the colorization was not active, and I activated with apply changes. And again, applying the colorization. This is a Hindi from language file. The fields appeared in Hindi, and some are not translated, and others are obsolete, like force tags. Okay, I run the file. Since it's not a folder, it's the running is okay. Now showing the IT as Italian. As you can see, all some words. Force tags, for example, is obsolete and is not translated in the robot system. That's the Dutch execution. Now we are seeing the Polish file. I'm just changing here the setup. As you can see, we will change now the color to the correct identification. Russian, Thai, Turkish, Ukrainian, Vietnamese, Chinese simplified and traditional, and we go back and Bulgarian, Bosnian, Czech, German, English, Spanish, Finnish, French, Hindi again. Okay, so now I'm going to show another feature is the full interface translation. Again, I apply the changes to have the colorization correct. Okay, and that's it for the languages. Now for the language interface, I'm going to show the language interface, and we start by Chinese. So again, the tags, the elements are in Chinese. Some are, and others not. I needed to reopen the file to fully fully have them. So this is the preferences, and where we select the interface language. Some buttons stay already identified, but we need to restart right to have the proper menus. Here we can see after the restart, the menus are some. This was automated translation, so we will need human validation. I don't know Chinese, of course. That's why I was able to translate. Now I'm going to see the Italian again. I needed to restart the interface. Okay, now open an Italian file to match the interface. As you can see, the buttons, library, libreria. I also don't know much Italian, but these ones, they are broken. I'm showing just the menu items are garbled because they were not reviewed. Okay, now, finally, Portuguese is my native language, as you know, and it's fully translated. Also for Portuguese in Brazil, I also did that translation. To be consistent, I'm going to open a Portuguese-based file. Manage configurations. This is the about. It's fully translated. And that's it.
Okay, awesome. Hold up, Helio. We're about to go live again. All right, really cool feature, Helio. Can you stick around till for about 15 more minutes? I have a few questions here coming up, and I want to get everyone in maybe for like 5 minutes at the end to do like ask us anything type deal.
Yeah, great.
All right, awesome.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. So stick around. We'll be back. All right, great feature. Okay, so we're bringing back in Renee and Tattoo. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's see if this is all going to work. Let's do it. Hey guys, welcome back.
Now?
Yay! Awesome. Congrats. Crowd's going crazy.
Yeah, awesome. Applause. Big applause. Wonders of technique. Okay, let's just jump in.
Let's do it. Change my view.
And yeah, let's make again another configuration. Yeah. So hello, welcome to the next ecosystem project, doing unloved task in browser library. And let us introduce briefly. Tattoo, go ahead. That's the
hold
wrong
on, Mika. Can you jump off and have because Tattoo's using your number now. Sorry, I had to reuse a different number to get him in, and then I didn't know Mika was going to join again. So apologize. So hopefully, I'll hit Tattoo up on Slack. So go ahead, Renee.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then I will introduce Tattoo. So Tattoo is working for Opus Punky, which is a bank right now, and so he switched jobs, and he is already 15 years working on Robot Framework. And now, Tattoo, you can go ahead.
Yes, and I maintained Selenium library first for 5 years. I think I made like 10 years ago my first contribution to Robot Framework core. And then I did give it back to Selenium library, and I'm maintaining browser library. Also, assertion engine is a spin-off from the browser library, and Python libcore, which helps you to load stuff between Robot Framework libraries, and a few other tools that are there that I do.
Okay, I introduced myself already, so we can skip that part.
So, browser library has not been loved that much for the past few years. So a lot of stuff piled up. There was 44 issues open. There were lots of involvements with the apply rate, which we want to implement. And also our documentation fell out of date. So we did promise to fix or at least close issues that so that would fit one page in the GitHub. We would update Playwright API stuff, and we did refresh on the pages, and we did it. We got the issues down to 10. Now it's back up to 20 because, well, it's used a lot by the community, and we've refreshed a lot of the Playwright API stuff, and we fixed all the documentation stuff. And next page. And this is the total list of issues that we did fix. It's actually quite a lot. You can go and read it by yourself from the release note, but it was bigger than normal release usually we do. And
so we actually decided to do it very briefly to say what we have here. So just the first point from me, you can now connect to a running Chrome browser session using the Chrome Developer Protocol. The only thing that you have to do is you have to start it with the debugging port open, and then you can just navigate there normally and then connect with your browser instance to that browser. I actually use a similar thing as well, the launch browser server, the second line. From Python or from the command line, you can launch multiple Playwright browsers and then keep them open. And if you, for example, use Pabot, you can first check how many processes you need and then spin up 17 browsers in parallel. And every Pabot thread will just connect to that browser and disconnect again, which just takes a few milliseconds instead of opening a browser in that instance again.
And there's that closing level keep, which was requested many times from the community, that in the past, browsers were automatically closed when the test execution ends, regardless what level they use. But we implemented keep, which keeps the browsers open on also after the test execution ends. But be careful, it also leaves a node process running in your system, so don't use it in the production. And René made parallel downloads.
Yeah, so you can you can basically start multiple downloads and then poll them if they are done downloading, so you don't have to work with these promises and
And we made assertion formats a scope, so that in previous, when you had the assertion format, it was there forever. Now you can define a scope, test, suite, or global, and it will automatically be removed after that scope ends. And we made Robot Framework 7 support. I think we had one issue which we had to fix, and there was lots of more things. Next slide.
But actually, we decided to hijack this presentation. Normally, we would just talk about browser library, but we want to talk about a different topic.
So did the funding help? Yes, it did.
Yes, definitely it did. And we want to talk about how funding helps and why it does help.
Well, time is precious. Like the ring from the Ring of the Lord says, we have other stuff to do. We have work, we have family, hobbies, and other stuff that we need to do. And we tend to focus on more important things.
Yeah. And so, for example, time with family and, for example, with my 2 kids is definitely something. Independently how much I like working on browser library or in the community, that is stuff that works or is more important. And doing all this maintenance in the free time is really something that really should kind of kick my mood and has to make fun. Otherwise, I would like to do other things.
But there's a motivation also to do the work for the browser library, because it's really rewarding to hear user feedback and get things fixed for him or create new stuff for them. It's a real nice thing. And also the picture that shows that how many downloads we have, even though we don't really know how many users there are, that's a reward for me. Why I'm doing, what's the good feeling out of making this browser library for you, all the users.
And we definitely like altruism and say, hey, let's do it for the greater good. but still you have to get something out of it. And even if it's the positive feedback, or that you know that you helped people to really solve a critical issue, or they are now happy in their project, which brings me something. But on the other hand, we have there these tasks that have a pretty high effort, and no one will thank you about it, like fixing your code or implementing maybe a feature that no one is using yet. Maybe some people will use it in the future, but it's not that mind-blowing feature where people just directly jump on it and say, oh, thank you very much for doing that, because they may not recognize it at the first, and on the second step, they then just take it as is. So stuff that has high effort and give low reward has automatically an intrinsic low priority and low motivation. And for me personally, I have real hard times to do stuff where I'm not motivated to do. So that's a downer, and that's why these kind of issues do pile up in this open source projects. So the funding, Tatu, yeah.
Funding leads to a commitment. For now, then I tend to focus when I do browser library stuff or any open source stuff that I get it done relatively fast, even within the one night. So I fix a thing, I made a commit, and I even do make a release after that thing is fixed. And then it's hard to commit to things that takes longer, weeks or days, stuff to do, unless there's a really high reward for it. But funding gives us other kind of reward that I can focus, forget the immediate good feeling about fixing something immediately. I can focus because then I know that I have a reward waiting for a longer period of work. And let's be honest, if you would have enough money, what would you do? Well, I think if I would have millions in my bank account, I would be a ski bum. I would go skiing in the Alps or somewhere in nice places. But
maybe not just the question. Yeah, maybe not just the question, what would you do if you would have enough money? The question would be maybe also like, what would you work if the work you're actually doing does not really differ in the money? And I would expect that most of you, if you think about, let's say you get that money that you get now independently of what you work, as long as you work. I know that many of you would just quit and not work at all if you have $1 million, but let's say you have to work. Would you still work the same stuff that you're doing? Or are you at the moment saying, okay, that work that I'm doing is giving me a good money and I don't hate it. So, and sometimes I like it, sometimes I enjoy it, but there are also days where I don't enjoy it, but still I get good money. And that's the same with the browser library. And the acceptance with family is always an issue on these open source projects. So if I can tell my wife and my kids, okay, I have to do some over hours now, or do maybe on weekends some coding, but we will go into a fun park or something like this because now we can afford it, that really makes a difference. So yes, we are open source, and that means, yes, you get all that for free. But that also means that you may think about which open source libraries are you using, and with these open source libraries, specifically for the companies that are using it, how much do you rely on them? Systems like Selenium library and browser library are super vital, in my opinion, for these web UI testing projects. So think about funding possibilities, not just for us. Maybe ask Mika how your company can, if you're not able to join the foundation, which I totally understand, think about if your company could maybe just fund the vital project that you're using, or fund feature in robot framework that you're needing. So that would be our appel to you. Think how funding could help improve this system and give the people also the reward they deserve if they are doing a lot of stuff in their free time. So that's all for us. Use browser library, and see you in the Q&A.
Awesome, guys. So I want to take some quick Q&A. I know we're supposed to go into a break, but we have a bunch of questions. So I thought we'd just jump right over there with all the speakers. And Tattoo has given us a tour. This is awesome. All right. So, first question, is there things not possible to do on limitations with the browser library?
Yeah, I mean so browser library can do Selenium Grid right now, but it's from the limitations things. Daniel, you're breathing pretty loud. From the limitations, so the WebDriver thing is a thing, and stuff that browser library cannot do is, for example, moving the whole picture. So moving the browser left and right, and these are also part of the non-implemented things in this migration helper, for example. But I would say there's nothing there is vital at all.
Okay. What is the advantage to use RIDE instead of VS Code? I think it's for you, Helio.
Okay. Yeah. RIDE was the first IDE officially supported by Robot Framework. Actually, was sponsored by Nokia, and it was, and it is still is aimed to manual testers, not for developers. So people can opt using Visual Studio Code or RIDE. That's a matter of choice. So that's the answer. There is no advantage to, depends the advantage to use RIDE instead of Visual Studio.
Okay. What are the pros and cons on changing from Selenium to browser? Like, are there some issues Selenium developers are bumped into after the change?
So the browser library has some speed effects. So browser library is typically way quicker than Selenium library from those feedback that we got from the users. Also, the weighting and element detection is typically more stable. There is no element stall exceptions, so it's typically like the speed and the reliability, and also the thing that, because browser library is based on Playwright and based on Node, the interaction with JavaScript on the page is more direct and better. And you can also integrate Node.js there. So, yeah.
Cool. Does RoboCode integrate support RoboCop code checker directly in code editor than Robot Lang server does, at least in PyCharm?
Yeah, just install it, and then if it's installed in your Python environment, then you can use it in Robot Code.
Excellent.
Same as Tidy for auto formatting.
Same as Tidy, yeah. For auto formatting.
Is browser library suited for testing applications with IoT iframes?
Yes, definitely. So iframes are absolutely possible.
All right, probably time for just a few more questions. I want to get everyone involved here. Is it possible to adjust the color theme for RIDE?
Yes, it is. And actually, the color theme I choose is my personal one. Yes, it is. But it's not, the colors are changing independently, and you can save and restore. Yeah, it's a matter of trying.
Excellent. All right, probably time for a few more questions. But I appreciate all your
the second
work.
one is good. Like, how does the community deal with open source projects not being backed by big companies? I mean, we just try to inform. We try to do missionary stuff. So we go maybe also on conferences. I did a talk on a ASQF testing day in Germany about open source projects. I did that on the meetup in Helsinki as well. Like, how do you use open source projects, and what are the possibilities of giving it back? And what happens if you're not doing it? I mean, there are open source projects dying every time, and you should really think about how vital is a project for you. And if it's so vital, wouldn't a few €1,000 a year just a super no-brainer? And it's just like informating and education.
Absolutely. Is there still incompatibilities between Robot Code and VS Code extensions?
I don't know about any of incompatibilities. What you should not do is to install robot code and robot framework language server at the same time, because they are doing the same things. This can be a little bit annoying.
I like to have VS Code Studio Remote Debugger for Robot and Python together side by side. The problem is Remote RF Debugger.
Yes, you can do it with the robot framework, robot code debugger. You can also debug your Python code, but you need some prerequisites to go into the Python code, install the debug.py package, and then it should also work.
How popular is Ride actually? Most people I know prefer other IDEs like VS Code with extensions.
It depends. I don't really know. I think it's highly used, but it depends of your culture and your willing to use. Remember that Ride exists since about 2010, and before even VS Studio Code was available. So,
Why do you like Ride? Are there any benefits to Ride that you think override other IDEs?
Yeah, Ride is exclusive for robot framework. It's not for Python languages or any kind of languages. So it has, from the beginning, has validation of the spaces that the user is typing, and it has the documentation of the libraries at hand. It's yeah, you can focus just on the function that you are writing, or a keyword or test.
Awesome. When is Robot Code 1.0 available?
I cannot say. That's one problem, because it's really a hobby project. And so
Okay.
my plan was to say, if I can have the time to write more documentation, good documentation, then it's time to say this is the version 1. So maybe in the next half year, something like this. So there are some people around in the community. They want to help to write documentation. So maybe.
All right. Let's do a lightning round. 2 minutes on the clock. Is the browser, the Selenium library support going away?
No, definitely not. And we don't want to create the impression that the foundation or anyone is preferring browser library over Selenium library. Selenium library has its place. Selenium library is the most used UI testing library that we have in the Robot Framework ecosystem. And with Ed Manlove, Yuri and also Lisa Crispin contributed to Selenium library, I think last year. So we have maintainers for Selenium library, and Selenium library will stay. And if Ed Manlove drops the support, we will search for another one who maintains it. We have just so many users there. So Selenium library will not go away. As long as Selenium exists, it will exist.
A lot of questions around this. Yep.
Yeah, regarding the migration, it should typically be a more or less drop-in replacement. So you should just be able to use Selenium library to browser. The only thing that you should take care of is the open browser places or create WebDriver places that you have to use there the newer mechanics maybe.
All right. Will there be support for Electron?
Yeah, there will be sometime after some funding, maybe.
Funding issues with browser library? Any other project enhancements?
I mean, funding is always a topic. Like if you fund, you can get full-time development. Yeah, I mean, you could even pay my employer to put me 40 hours a week on browser library. There's just the question of when and how.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sticking around overtime. Really appreciate you. I want to give people the at least 20 minutes break, because that's what we promised them. So thank you so much for joining us at RoboCon and making this an awesome event. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
We
Yes.
split the speakers out in 2 speaker rounds. So Helio and Daniel about the IDEs go to the white corner, and Tato and me go to the black are the dark side.
Great point. Everyone head over to GatherTown, hit up the speakers in GatherTown. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Sure.
All right, what an awesome way to kick the session. Sorry, it's live, so that's why there was like some wonkiness going on. But hey, I think you got a lot of value from it. And if you missed anything, if it was distracting, just head on over to GatherTown now during this break and get your questions answered there. And we'll be back in about 20 minutes.